Hello, everyone. Welcome to our kickoff session. Because we have 2 more minutes remaining and we're waiting on other people to join. Let's start off by introducing ourselves. My name is Yared Tegey. I'm the Head of Academy for Remote Education at A2SV. And let's learn about each other's name. I am going to nominate one more person, and maybe that person is going to introduce himself and tell us one thing about them, like one thing that is, let's just say, a fact about yourself. So you introduce yourself and then you tell us one fact about yourself. And let's start off with Yosef Alamo. Joseph, can you hear us? If not Joseph, maybe Ahmed Hibet. Can you introduce yourself and tell us one fact about yourself?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm Ahmed Hibet, a software developer, and now I'm a trainer. And I'm from Ethiopia. About what I have, like, what could I say? I don't know. There is a lot of facts, but it's not like to speak about.
All right, Ahmed, nominate someone else.
Okay. Let me see. ፍቅረ ማርያም አንተነህ. You get voice?
Yes.
Hello, guys. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
So, I'm Fikra Mariam Antene. I'm actually head of education for remote G5 group. So anyone here in group 5, so I'll be your head. So I'm a 4th-year software engineering student at Addis Ababa University. So that's it.
And let's nominate someone else for Kamara.
Okay. So let me just. Maybe I'll go with Fiona Murugi.
Hi. My name is Fiona. I am joining as a student in G5. A fact about me is I'm Kenyan. I'll nominate Oh yeah?
Fiona, who did you nominate?
Asha Samuel.
Okay, Asher Samuel, can you hear us? Yeah.
Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, what was that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So my name is Ashwar Samuel. I'm a second-year computer engineering student, and I'm from Ethiopia. So that's all about me.
All right, Asher, nominate one more person and we can start off our kickoff.
Okay. Oh no, I see a person named Oh no.
I think you might need to nominate someone else, Asher.
Okay.
We have good enough attendance now. People that are going to join after, they can catch up. So once again, I'd like to welcome you all to the Generation 5 Remote Education Kickoff. I know most of you are waiting for this a lot, and here you have it today. To introduce you on what we're going to do, on what the outline for this kickoff event is going to be. So at the beginning, we're going to have an opening speech from our CEO and founder, Mr. Emre Varol. And after that, Mr. Emre is going to tell us about what A2SV's, some facts about A2SV. He'll tell us about some offers that A2SVians have received from top tech companies. And after, we're going to get a bit of updates from different academy heads and leads from our different education departments, and we'll be telling you about what the A2SV first year education session and second year education at A2SV is going to be like, what you guys should expect from our educations. And after, we'll see experience sharing. We're going to get the experience from one of our A2SV alumni, and we'll see some, you're going to meet the heads of educations, and we'll receive the conclusive remarks from our head of operations, Mr. Alper. And finally, we're going to give you the chance to ask any questions that you might have. So without further ado, Mr. Emre, I'm going to be leaving the stage to you.
Thank you very much, Yalet. Team, this is a very exciting moment because this year in remote education program, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have students from at least 27 African countries.
From 28 African countries.
Wow, 28 African countries. Team, this is more than half of the continent. And for that reason, even before we get started, I would like to celebrate this diversity. We know that Africa is one continent. At the same time, it is huge. There are different cultures, different foods, different clothes in different countries. And like I told you guys, maybe some of you were not in college at that time. So it's been a while that we have been doing this. And yes, as I mentioned, we upskill talented people like you through the after-school studies. And eventually, we also partner with the top tech companies to bring opportunities. Some of these opportunities are internships, continuing students that are not in the last year. This is for you. So when you are ready for the interviews, you will have a chance to interview with these companies: Google, Bloomberg, Databricks, Palantir, just some of the companies who agreed on giving interviews to A2SV students when they have positions. So the last part is important, team. When Google is not hiring anybody, A2SV doesn't have an authority to say, Google, hey, Google, hire some of our graduates. So it depends whether they have the seats or not. But when they have the seats, they commit to interview. They commit to provide you the opportunities. So at the end of the day, it is going to be your job to shine in the interviews and get those opportunities. Because we never ask for positive discrimination. We ask for the opportunity. And I am 100% sure you know how difficult it is to get international opportunities when we are in Africa. That's why we believe that connection is key for African students to fulfill their full potential. Because these companies are doing some things better than other companies. That's why they are there. That's why Google is multi-billion dollar. That's why Google is a multi-billion dollar company. Bloomberg is multi-billion dollar company. So for that reason, at the end of this journey, when you finish your preparation, you are going to have the opportunity to shine. You know, and even that is very important, guys. Because if you don't have the interviews, you cannot get the jobs. And A2SV pushes you till there, gives you the skills that you need, gives you the experience that's going to teach you how to handle that psychology. And you will also get the opportunity in your hands. So if you go with the flow, you can see from our results that this is going to be an amazing journey. Let's continue, Yared. So, like, what is the life cycle of a student at A2SV? Our education normally starts with community education. And maybe some of you guys already heard about that. And the community education helps people to sharpen their skills and get ready for the interviews. And not everybody needs community education. So frankly speaking, team, for the remote education, we put a lower bar for the interviews than in-person education. Like, don't get me wrong, to accept to interviews, we put a lower bar. Why? Because in the countries that we operate in person, Ethiopia and Ghana, more people know A2SV. So for you guys that are from other countries, I am really grateful and I really respect your attention to what A2SV provides. Because we are not as well known in the other countries yet. So depending on your situation, you may be eligible for remote education or in-person education. But there is one thing that I want to assure you, team. After this point, all the bars that we put for remote education and in-person education, we try to keep them on par. So we don't want any difference in A2SV remote alumni and A2SV in-person alumni. We don't even call people like that. We call people A2SV alumni. So that's why, yes, at the beginning it was slightly different due to circumstances, but by the end, there is no difference. When a person comes from remote education or in-person education, regardless, you go through the similar process, you hit to the same bars, and eventually you get connected with the top tech companies, including A2SV. Just because we are a nonprofit doesn't necessarily mean that we are a not top tech company, guys. A2SV is a top tech company too, and part of our mission is to deliver digital projects for Africa. That's why, like, we have this arrow coming back from here and going back to Africa, because eventually, with the tech talent that we build, we want to build digital projects to make lives better in Africa. So I want all of us to get this from the beginning, guys. If you take A2SV education, find a job at Google London, leave and never look back, you will hurt my heart. I am sure you are going to hurt many other A2SV's hearts. That's completely fine to take the job opportunity and go there, get exposed to different country. But do not forget, you are going there from Africa, right? Get the know-how, get the experience, pass it to the next generations. Maybe after years, you are going to feel like coming back to Africa, and you are always welcome. Guys, I haven't seen all the continents. I don't know about Antarctica and Australia yet. But among all the other continents, we definitely have the most need for technology in Africa. There is more work to do in Africa than the other continents. So this is the case. Keep this in mind. Have your dreams to go abroad, explore different cultures, but tie them back to Africa. Do not forget where you come from. And I am here. We have many great people like Yared, like Tesfaye, and some other heads of education that you are going to meet today. And like we are here to help. We know that you have the potential. And so far, with your steps, you have already proven this. Like it's not easy. Not everybody joins A2SV when they want. There are some pre-requirements, and then you take the interviews, and if you shine, you get accepted. Like this year, I think we had about 1,000 people in total, and you guys are in top 150. So, no, I think it's 120, right? Yeah, right, Yared?
It's 150.
150? Okay. I mean, still, if we consider 1,000 total, this means you are in top 15% team. So this is a very good achievement. And like just to see how big of our community now, like there are over 20,000 followers we have in social media channels. And you guys are part of the 5th generation. Like as I mentioned for the remote education, 2nd, but for the general A2SV education, you are part of 5th generation. And since we want to keep the same quality in in-person education and remote education, we don't call you 2nd generation students. You are also 5th generation students. And like we do our education in groups. So you are not going to have all your sessions moving forward with this gigantic tribe, I would say. Maybe occasionally, maybe once every quarter or once every 6 months, we can do these big sessions. This is also great energy. But our education is done in smaller groups. You have heads of education, you have heads of education interns, assistants, sometimes mentors. So there are different elements and characters that we use in A2SV education. I think you are going to learn more about those when we get to that point. And Tim, lastly, there is one thing I would love to remind before, maybe, Yared, should I take the offers or should I finish here? What would you recommend?
I think you take the offers as well, Emre.
Okay. All right. Tim, so like first off, I want you to take a moment and realize that those 25 plus teams, these are real people. Like when we start reading the names here, Emre Varol, Subi Grace, Abdullah Kamil, Abdi Bekele, Abdurazak Guma, Abdurrahman Mustafa, Abel Gebeyehu. Guys, I get to 7 people. You know, and these are real people, over 50 people whose lives are changed. Because when you get an opportunity at a top tech company, like you get exposed to how all these very smart and experienced, ambitious people approach to software engineering. Like later today, you are going to also hear from Biruk Solomon, who is one of our alumni. And like he can tell you more about why this experience matters, why it can change your limits, why it can expand your horizon. So that's why, like, I want you to see this and don't think of this as like A2SV had Like in the past 400 students, they get 50 offers. So it's like 20%. No, guys, in 2022, when we had opportunities available, our success rate with Google interviews was 70%, guys, 70. Like Google Ghana, they had 3 seats and they interviewed 7 A2SV's, assuming that not many people are going to pass the interviews. 6 out of 7 people passed. They had to move 3 people to Dublin because they didn't have the seats in Google Ghana. Meaning, if you follow this path, if you bring your attention, if you dedicate your time regularly, we have the knowledge, guys, and we want to share it with you. But this is not going to happen by itself. There is one precondition here. Remember, 80% of this responsibility is on your shoulders. So we will facilitate. You will have the meetings, you are going to have the lectures, you are going to have the progress sheet, you will be given questions. But if you don't do the job, you are not going to be ready. So don't forget, 80% of this is in your hands. And look at this beautiful picture, team. Just a few examples from our many success stories. Today, he is currently working at Google Accra office in Ghana, and he's working on flood detection algorithms by using machine learning. What he's doing is saving lives. Maybe you guys may remember there was a horrible flood in Libya. And unfortunately, they didn't launch project at Libya at that time. Like in other places, they have saved many lives already. Bayonet is in Databricks, Amsterdam. Eden is at Palantir, London. Semere had an internship at Google Zurich. Now he's working with the French company in France. So, like you see that when they started, they were not any different than you. And now they are at different places. So I see no reason why you are not going to be one of them if, number one, set yourself high enough goals. Number two, follow with actions. Because if you take the opportunity, we can see your photo next year here in this presentation for 6th generation team. We have seen many examples of it. So please take the opportunity and bring your attention and dedication to the table so that we can together first build the talent, tech talent in Africa, and then digitally transform Africa. Thank you very much, Steve. Yaret, is there anything else?
Yes, Emre. No, I think we're good.
Perfect. Thank you, then. The stage is yours.
All right. Thank you, Emre, for telling us about SV and some motivating words. So next, we're going to have the lead of community education, Bamnet, to tell us a bit about what community education at A2SV is. So Bamnet.
All right, thank you, Jared. Hello, guys. My name is Bamnet Bekele. I'm one of the head of community educations at A2SV. So I'm not going to take much time, but I will give you some brief introduction about A2SV community and also request you something at last. So currently we have around over 5,500 members at A2SV community. So what we basically do inside this community education is we'll try to cover introductory topics in data structure and algorithm. We'll try to give some kind of education for everyone. Either they are like new to programming or have some kind of experience in programming or also in competitive programming. So we have education tailored to every experience level, like I mentioned. So people don't have to refrain from joining A2SV community, thinking that it requires some kind of skill level sets as a prerequisite, because we have something to provide for everyone. So if you guys have a friend that doesn't know any kind of programming language, the A2SV community is still there for him. Or if you have also a friend that knows about programming and have experience in that sector, still we have something to offer for those people. So last thing is we have a quarterly conversion to in-person and remote education. So people that are currently at A2SV community, if they have shown a consistent improvement and shown that for us that they are capable of doing things, we're going to give them the chance to join either the remote education, or if they are currently students at partner university, we'll give them the chance to join the in-person education. So you guys have already joined the remote education currently. So what I really want to ask from you is, if you have, let's say, a friend or a classmate that didn't get the chance to join A2SV education, remote education or in-person education, I really encourage you to push your friends to join the community. So I'm going to paste the Telegram and the WhatsApp group that we currently have. So our main communication channels are going to be Telegram and WhatsApp. So we're going to provide some announcements, new things, and also we're going to provide resources through this channel. So I strongly encourage you guys to invite your friends so that they can join A2SV community, and in time they will get the chance also to join A2SV. So if you have any questions about A2SV or any inquiries as well, you can send it through the email that I just dropped in the chat box. So yeah, that's all from me. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Bamnet. Next, we'll be going to in-person education, and Brooke Zodu is going to be telling us about the in-person education we provide at A2SV. Brooke.
Thank you, Arid. Hi, guys. I would like to start first by congratulating you all for passing the interviews and joining us. My name is Brooke. I am the head of academy for in-person education at A2SV. As previously mentioned by my colleagues, we have two arms of education in A2SV. The first one is in-person and the other one is remote education. I'm going to talk briefly about what in-person education is. It all started when our CEO and founder, Emre, came to Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in 2019 and started helping out and teaching students data structures and algorithms. And it stemmed from there and it grew to what it is now. So now we have presence in 3 schools in Ethiopia: Addis Ababa University, Addis Ababa Science and Technology University, and Adama Science Technology University. And we also have presence in 1 school in Ghana, University of Ghana, Legon. So since it started in Addis Ababa University, we're marking our 5th generation there, and 3 generations in Addis Ababa Science and Technology University. And in Adama and University of Ghana, Legon, we have 1 generation so far. So as previously mentioned, we as A2SV's want to help and extend our reach to thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of students. But expanding in person to different countries, it takes time and it takes effort. Although we'll get there, we want to reach there faster. And that's why we launched the remote education program. We put some of our best minds on the track, and they are going to be heads of education. So far we have trained 594 students in in-person education, a number that's going to be very less compared to what the remote education is going to be achieving in the near future. So that's it about in-person education. Thank you, Arid. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Brooke, for the beautiful words. Next, I will be telling you about the remote education that we've had last year in 2023. So as Emre mentioned earlier, last year we started the 1st generation of remote education. And in this first generation, we had 5 groups, and we have students from 7 different countries. Compared to what we have now, the number might be small, but this is what we started with, and we got experience on remote education from our last year. And we educated 58 students in 2023. This year, as Emre mentioned again, we have 150 students that we've accepted for the remote education program. So you can see clearly how we're growing. And as Brooke mentioned, we're going to be expanding even more in the coming future and reaching out to many different students across Africa. Now, to tell you what we're going to have, what you guys should expect in the first year education program. We have 7 different phases in our education year. So the first one is the onboarding phase. This onboarding phase is the first phase that you guys are going to be going. It's going to last from January. January is almost over. It's going to continue until February. That is around like three or 2 weeks in February. And next, we'll go to the first education phase, which is going to be longer than the onboarding phase. And it's going to continue from February until April. We have the first camp coming right after the first education phase. Then we get the second education phase, then the final camp. Then we have the project phase and the interviews. So I'll be going into detail in each and every one of them and tell you what exactly you should be expecting on this phase. So, the onboarding phase. What the specific objective for the onboarding phase is to ramp up you guys on basic data structures and algorithms, and also identify the students we're going to continue with. So what are we going to do on the onboarding phase? The first thing first, and the major thing will be conducted on the onboarding phase is the Python track. So in A2SV, we believe that the Python programming language is best one for problem solving and data structures and algorithms learning. So for that case, we are going to be teaching you about Python during the onboarding phase. You might have previous experience with Python, and some of you might not. For those of you who don't have previous experience, I'm sure that you're aware that Python is relatively easy language to learn, so you'll pick it up in no time. And other than the Python lecture, we have practice sessions on problem solving, on data structures and algorithms. We have soft skill lectures, and I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy these soft skill lectures and get a lot of things to learn, like to add to your skill sets. Other activities are contest and contest analysis. We'll have virtual moonwalks and social activities. So what these virtual moonwalks are, they're kind of a tradition in A2SV. How they're going to be conducted is you'll be paired up with a random person from your group, or in some cases, we might pair you up with people from another group. And for a specific period of time, you're going to get to conversate with that person, get to know that person. This would help you expand your network, like meet new people, learn new perspectives from different people, and also practice your communication skills. So what happens after the end of the onboarding phases, as I mentioned before, I said we're going to be identifying some students we're going to continue with and some we're not going to. This is because we plan on going through some restructuring by the end of the onboarding phase. So what's going to happen by the end of the onboarding phase is we're going to be evaluating your session attendance, the number of problems you solved, and the contest attendance. And if they are below the bar that we set for you to continue in the remote education, then that means, unfortunately, we're going to have to part ways with you. But one thing to note here is if everyone is performing good and if everyone is above the bar that we've set, then we'll continue with everyone. So when I say we're going to do some restructuring, it does not mean we'll be decreasing the number. We don't have a goal to decrease the number. We're just going to see your performance, and we're going to decide if we're going to continue with you or we're not going to continue with you in the remote education. Because we don't want to continue with students that do not have the dedication or the bandwidth to continue with our education program, because our education program needs a dedication and commitment to go through. And one thing I forgot to mention on the onboarding phase, it's going to last for 3 weeks. The first education phase, this one, it's going to last for roughly 10 weeks. And in here, we're going to cover basic data structure and algorithm topics. I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy this phase because we'll be covering DSA topics like sorting, two pointers, linked list, stacks, queues, and monotonicity. This is going to be an interesting education phase for you guys because this is the one where we get into real data structures and algorithm topics like the ones I mentioned here. And we're going to have activities like lectures, practice sessions, and we're going to have pair and triad programmings. These are sessions where you'll be paired with 1 or 2 other people and then get to work on a problem together. This, again, would increase your problem-solving skills and also your communication skills, how you'd explain the idea that you have in your mind to the next person. And we're going to have social activities, virtual moonwalks. And this education phase is going to last from February to April, mid of April. Right after we finish our first education phase, we are probably going to give you a bit of a break to prepare for our first camp. So in A2SV, we have a saying that goes, camp is where the magic happens. And it really is, because during the camp, you are going to learn a lot of new topics, but in a shorter period of time. In our camp, it's going to be an intense training. We're going to have frequent contests. We're going to have more lectures, and we're going to have more social activities. So in our camps, you're going to be covering topics like recursion. We're going to learn about binary search. We're going to learn about trees, and we're going to be learning about recursion again, because recursion is a bit of a difficult topic that it needs part 1 and part 2 to finish. And during our camp, as I mentioned, it's going to be a more intense version of our normal sessions. It's going to be a more intense version of our first education session, our first education phase. And we have similar activities like, as I mentioned, lectures, practice sessions, programming, pair and triad programmings. We're going to have frequent contests and contest analysis and moonwalks as well. And our first camp is going to last for 4 weeks. That means a month. All right, is that a question? Bafo? I'm sorry if I pronounce your name.
Oh, no problem. That's the pronunciation. So I want to ask where the camp is going to take place.
So everything is going to be remote. Our camps are going to be held remotely. So our sessions normally are going to be, we were going to describe this on tomorrow's session, but our sessions are normally going to be at this time from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. East African time. And as we mentioned during the interview process, we're going to have 5 sessions per week, including a contest on Saturday. But during our camps, we're going to have 1 more sessions. That means we're going to have 6 sessions a week, and the sessions are going to be more intense. That's what differentiates our normal sessions from our camp sessions. But they're going to be held remotely, similar to our normal education phase. Does that answer the question?
Yes, please. That answers.
Okay, thank you. Next is after you go through the camp and you've acquired this immense knowledge in data structures and algorithms, we are going to continue with the second education phase. And in here, we're going to cover more data structures and algorithm topics. We have more, don't you guys worry. And we'll be covering sorting, part 2, we're going to see about bitwise and numerics. We'll see graphs, graph traversals, DFS, BFS, and others. We're going to see top sort and disjoint sets, and we'll also be visiting heaps. So these are topics that we're going to be covering in the second education phase, which is going to last similar to the first education phase, about 10 weeks, and it's going to be between May and July. And in this session, it's going to be less tense compared to the first camp. And by this time, I'm sure all of you are used to our sessions in A2SV, and you'd be enjoying the process. And we're going to have similar activities as the previous session phases. And then, right after the second education phase, and this, we have our final camp. So, if you guys thought the first camp was going to be like an intense one, then the final camp is going to be just a little bit more intense than the first camp, because this is where we end our education, or data structures and algorithms education, and we want to finish strong. We want to start strong as well as finish strong. So in this camp, we are going to make the sessions maybe a bit more intense, and we're going to cover topics on greedy and DP, or dynamic programming algorithms. Also, we are probably going to go through some recap sessions on previous topics that were discussed on the different phases, so that you guys remember them better. And we're going to have activities like the major ones. We're going to have some other activities as well in this and the previous phases. And the major activities we'll have here are lectures, the practice sessions. By the way, the practice sessions are sessions where you work on data structures and algorithm problems, where you solve problems like the ones you guys were interviewed with, and parent-child programming. You will have contests, more frequent contests, because it's going to be a camp, and we'll have virtual monologues and social activities as well. So, right after going through the second education phase, we have what we call our project phase. So, previously, Emre mentioned that in A2SV, we'll give you education on data structures and algorithms, and besides that, we are going to build digital projects or digital products that are going to solve the problems in your continent, country, or your communities. So to build these digital products, then you need to learn the industry standards in software development. What is the right way of doing these things? So in our project phase, that is exactly what we're going to teach you. You're going to be learning industry standards of software development. And what you're going to do is you'll learn good practices in the software industry, how things are supposed to be done. You might have, by the way, projects experience before. You might have, maybe some of you might already know this industry standards in software development. But in A2SV, it's guaranteed that you're going to learn the right thing the right way. And you're going to learn how to use collaborative tools, and you learn and set up continuous development and continuous integration in our project phase. So this is the phase where you'll be learning how to do it right, how to do software development right. It's Nader.
Can you give me example of what is industry standards in software? Like what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Example of industry standards in software in development.
Yeah, so we're going to teach you, like, when writing a code, for example, how are you supposed to structure your code? Like most of us university students, I'm sure if you are one, you're aware, when we're writing our codes, we just do it to finish things, right? We don't know the exact, even if we do know how it's supposed to be done, like the structure of your codes, how you're supposed to structure things when working, how you're supposed to be structuring your code so that when other people look at your code, it's readable, and some people could easily see it and understand. So things like this are what we're going to teach you in the industry standards in software development. And to mention one other thing is when starting software development, you need to do the product work properly. Right? If you just have an idea and you think about it and just start implementing, then that could cause a problem when you go through the implementation of the project. So at the beginning, you need to make the idea and the product well enough so that when starting implementation, you have everything that you need to have and you could work easily. And you're going to learn how to do this product development, the UI, UX, and things like that. So to add on that, we're going to have 5 different teams in this project phase. We're going to have the product team, the UI, UX team, the mobile team, the web, and the backend team. So you're going to choose, the students, you are going to choose which team that you want to be part of, and you're going to learn how things are done in that particular team. So if you're part of the product team, then you need to learn how product development is done. How do you do research? How do you interview people? And things like that. If you're part of the mobile team, you'd be learning mobile development. Maybe you're aware of, let's say, you're good in web development. So in this project phase, you might choose to be part of the mobile team and acquire skills in mobile development. So this project phase is, even if you're like experienced in some or other teams that are, or in some or other teams, let's say you have experience in mobile and UI UX team, and you've worked a bit in backend team, but maybe you have no idea how product development is going to be done. So you can take this chance to learn about product development and like broaden your skill sets in the software development world. Yes, Sabel.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption, Yarit. Is it possible to be a part of multiple teams?
So that depends on the time. I think I should answer this question as maybe it just depends. If I say yes now, then at the moment when we're assigning people in the project phase, it wouldn't be an ideal thing. Let's just answer it as no. And you only need to be part of one team because there is a learning track for each team prepared. And the learning track, we prepare that learning track based on time. So when preparing that learning track, we're going to be preparing it in a way that you'd be able to finish it in a specific amount of time. And because we're going to assign 6 weeks for this project phase, and we are going to prepare the learning track like based on that period of time that we have. If you're part of 2 teams, then that means you're going to be having to go through 2 learning tracks. And that might mean that you wouldn't grasp the idea of either of them really well. So I'd answer this question as no. But when the time comes, if there are circumstances that we need to consider, then we will do so in the right time.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Next is the interview phase. So during the interview phase, what's going to happen is the students that are ready are going to have their interviews with the top tech companies. Emre introduced, like mentioned, some of the top tech companies that are willing to provide interviews for A2SV students or graduates from the A2SV Academy if they have seats. And during the interview phase, what we're going to do is, first off, we're going to be giving you resume polishing sessions. This means you're going to be basically polishing your resume, making it as good as it could get, because there are certain things that you need to do in order to make your resume better. Most of us have prepared our resumes, and if we just open one person's resume and go through it, then there's going to be a lot of things that need improvement. And in these sessions, on our resume polishing sessions, we're going to teach you and do it like in practice right there. Like you're going to be polishing your resumes and making it better. Other than that, we're going to have mock interviews. On these mock interviews, you're going to learn what things to say during the interview, how to prepare for the interview, and how overall interviews are going to go. So in these mock interviews, they teach you a lot of things. Like having mock interview gives you the confidence on doing interviews at top tech companies. And other than that, I mentioned that ready students are going to have interviews with top tech companies. And how do we define ready? So how we consider students to be ready in A2SV is if they pass our internal interviews. So we set internal interviews after you've finished our first education phase or our first education year. We're going to be giving internal interviews. And these internal interviews are to assess if you have grasped all the topics, all the things that we've taught you or that you've learned in A2SV, and if you are able to interview at top tech companies and pass those interviews. So we're going to be giving you these internal interviews, and if you pass those internal interviews, then that means you've officially graduated from first year education at A2SV, and you're eligible to apply to top tech companies, and you're going to have a very high chance of success. And right after that, you're going to be receiving coding challenges and interviews from the top tech companies. What next is, yes, I think there's a question. Yes.
Thank you for the chance. And my question is, what if we don't pass the internal interview? What then?
That's a very good question, Mikas. So if you can't pass the internal interviews on your first try, then you're going to be given a certain period for a cool-off. Let's say you're going to be given a month for a cool-off, or a month for you to better your skills, practice on your problem solving, practice on your interview skills, and then come back and take the internal interviews again. So if you failed the internal interview in the first try, it does not mean that you failed all the commitment and dedication that you put in for the whole year. That doesn't mean it goes all away. You'll be given another chance, but after some time. You need to use that time to prepare more for the next interview.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And next, yes, Eddie.
Yes, thank you. This is a very well-defined program. So I wanted to find out, is there any form of certification or acknowledgement of attendance of the program once someone successfully completes the whole program? Thank you.
Yes, we're going to be giving you certificates on your completion of our program. We have certificates, yes. Okay. Next, all right, Ahmed.
Yes, thank you for the can I know what is the platform or what is a web tattoo doing contests or اسمه ايه حاجات التانية.
So the platform we use for the contests and for problem solving, where we get the problems.
Yes.
So
yes.
This is going to be mentioned on our tomorrow session, but just to answer your question, the platforms we're going to use for the contest mainly it's code forces, and for problem solving, we get most of our questions from the Lead Code platform. And Zaid.
Thank you very much. I would like to know if it is possible for someone who is enrolled into the remote education program to switch to the in-person education.
We don't have that currently. So if you're enrolled in the remote education program, then we don't have a system for you to switch to the in-person education program currently, but maybe we can talk about, if you're asking for yourself, then maybe we can talk about it later or on tomorrow's session.
Okay, great.
If there
Thank
are
you.
things that we need to consider. Okay.
All right.
Okay. Baziz.
Hello. Sorry for the interruption. I just have a question concerning the roles for the internships that we're gonna be applying for. Are these roles gonna be only for software engineering, or might be for other roles? For example, I'm interested in machine learning. Can I be taking given a possibility to for an internship in that field, or is it just going to be for software engineering? Thank you.
Are you talking about the internships at top tech companies?
Yes.
Yeah, of course, you can apply for any position that you want to. We are going to be providing you some positions as well. We're going to be picking some positions for you guys to apply to. But if you have an interest in machine learning and have some things to show for on the things that you work on, maybe machine learning projects, then you can definitely apply for machine learning internships as well. It's not specifically for software engineering.
Okay,
it's software
thank you so
engineering
much.
and related fields. Yeah. Next is the second year at A2SV. So what I would like to mention here is that the second year at A2SV is completely optional. You might choose to be part of it, or you might choose to opt out from the second year of education. And what we're going to do on the second year of education is, the first thing is, I mentioned previously that you're going to be building software products or digital solutions to the most pressing problem in Africa, maybe your country or your own community. So those digital developments or digital product developments are going to be in the second year. So you'd be working on a real project, a real world project that's going to be released to the public and the public is going to use. So this is going to be the first half of education in the second year. And the other half is our machine learning track, where you are going to be learning machine learning. So machine learning these days, it is one of the important skills that every software engineer should have. I'm sure that you guys are aware that machine learning is becoming basically the big brother of computer science. And so for this case, I'd advise, not me, especially I think I heard Emre saying this, that Jeff Dean mentioned that every software engineering student should know about machine learning and artificial intelligence. So those are the things that we'll be giving at the second year of education at A2SV, the project development and our machine learning track. Yes, Ahlan, a question?
Hello, sorry for interrupting you. Well, my question is about the real world project that we'll be making. Is it possible to make them like as our final, like a graduation project?
For your final graduation projects, I believe that you're supposed to do it with other team members in your school. And I don't know if the timing is going to be similar for you. Would your school accept it? Yeah. The project development that you're going to do is you're going to work with other students in the second year remote education. So I'm not sure if that would be acceptable for your final year project. Yes, Ms. Kana. Ms. Kana, do you have a question? All right, Kamel, question?
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for all the given information. So basically, I have two questions. The first one concerning that you have mentioned that it for sure needs a certain amount of dedication and participation and all that. The thing that I want to ask about, considering that we mainly, or the majority of us may be students and may have like some weeks of exams or something like that. So how is this handled? And my second question is for example, from my case, for students that were in the computer science and that already maybe had some courses on algorithms, on data structures, is there any type of shortcuts within the learning procedure or something like that? Something to evaluate, maybe practice certain concepts, and that it would give you a certain shortcut in the process.
Okay. So for your first question, we all know that most of you are students, university students, and we ourselves went through this education session while we were students. So what I would like to mention here is that A2SV, it's an after-school education, as Emre mentioned at the beginning. So it is doable. When you have final exams, we communicate with you and try to make the sessions less demanding, and we give you breaks when you're on your final exams. So these kind of things, we are going to consider it. We don't expect things that are. We don't expect you to hurt your normal education, so that you'd give more time for A2SV. So it's going to be manageable. We're going to consider the things, like we know that you guys are students. And for the second question that you asked about having a kind of shortcut, we don't have that in A2SV. So you're part of the education, you have to go through all the parts. Like you have to go through each and every education phase in the first year education. And we do not provide any sort of shortcuts.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, Cam. Ms. Kana.
Sorry for interrupting you.
It's okay.
The project and the machine learning track, they separate tracks? We do them both
Yes.
at once.
No, they are separate. First, it's going to be the project development and where you're going to be working on a real world project and releasing it. And right after, you're going to start the machine learning track and learn machine learning there. So they're separate tracks.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone. So I believe that I've been talking too much, and next we're going to get some experience sharing. So I don't know if you guys remember, but Emre mentioned at the beginning that we're going to be hearing from one of our alumni, Brooke Salomon. He is one of the brightest at A2SV, and he's going to be sharing his experience with us. So without further ado, Brooke.
Hi there. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, Brooke.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'll just start with a simple, short introduction of what I've been doing with A2SV, and then I'll leave the floor for questions. Hi, everyone. My name is Brooke Solomon. I was part of the original cohort, G1 or G12, at A2SV during its inception. I was a part of that cohort back 5 years ago. And since then, I've had the chance to intern with Google in Munich, Germany, LinkedIn in California, and then Databricks as a full-time engineer starting sometime next month in Berlin, Germany. That's a small overview. My interests academically include distributed systems and low-level programming. And my hobbies include reading and hiking when I can. That's a short introduction of me. If anyone has any questions to ask, you're all more than welcome.
So everyone, let's get questions. Yeah.
To get started, until everyone thinks of the questions, I prepared a few 3 questions for Brooke Solomon. Should I ask them? Yeah, right. Okay.
Yes, Kala.
Okay. So the first question I always wanted to ask you, Brooke, is I know you we go to the same school at Addis Ababa University, even though you are software engineering. So can you compare the difference in education system between A2SV and Addis Ababa University? The kind of how you get the knowledge, the interaction with the teachers and the classmates?
That's a good question. I think, at least during my time at A2SV, what stood out the most was how much ownership you had over your own education. Everyone there was there to teach you, and everyone there was someone you can learn from. So it was very interactive, in which I had the opportunity to direct the education the way I wanted to learn. If I understood best in terms of pair programming, I can push to have more pair programming. I can, since I'm surrounded by students that genuinely want to learn, I used to find ways that are like easily accessible. Like if a lecture is going some way, I would say, oh, can it be possible to learn it this way? And I'd hear from someone else, oh, this way might be better. And then someone would show me a better way of implementing something. And I'd learn a lot from the people who wasn't going one direction, from the teacher to the student. It was a way more collaborative experience. I'm not sure if that changed, but I think since it's something that comes from the students, I definitely recommend that as an optimal way of learning, to have it as a collaborative environment where you learn as much as you can from everyone around you, including the other classmates. If that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much, Brooke. So my second question is,
one of the fun parts of lecturing with A2SV for some time. So no one particular event.
okay, my last question before I give the chance to the students. If you could describe your journey at A2SV for the 1 year while you are a student and for the remaining year as an alumni, can you give us? Can you describe it using an emoji?
I think maybe as a student, it would be the running emoji. That would be the first one that comes to mind. It's very stressful. You're going to be all over the place. It's hectic. You're learning too many things at once. I think as an alumni, not much has changed. I'm still running around a bit. It's slightly more relaxed. But I think after the internships, I think there was some level of clout. So I'll take maybe the programming emoji or the graduate emoji. There's a little bit of respect. I don't know if it's warranted, if it's misplaced, but it was interesting. I got to choose what I want to do to give back to A2SV. For me in particular, it was the education side of things and teaching. So I got to give that 100% as much as I wanted to, and that was very fulfilling. So I'll take the graduation cap or the like calm smiling emoji. I'll try to find it and send it in the chat. I think that's how I describe it.
Okay, thank you, Brooke. So, students, I know you have a lot of questions to ask. So, to do it in an orderly fashion, you can put your questions in the chat box. So, Brooke will answer them in order, as the order you ask.
Or Caleb, I think they can just ask it by turning their mic on. We have raised hands. Let's start with Kamil.
All right. So first of all, thank you for your time, and you're an example that you have made it. So if my question is pretty simple and straightforward, if you would give just maybe one advice to summarize maybe one of the key maybe points of the journey or something like that about how to land it there. Maybe you have made it to Google, to LinkedIn, to Databricks now. So how would you sum it up?
That's a good question. I might go with keep curious, or at least make sure you're learning from every experience, from every encounter, being open to learning, being like passionate and curious. I think those go a long way. I think the most things I learned from there, they happened not because it was a requirement for the job or because I had to do it, but because I was very curious about something and I just went at it completely and it was a blast. So I think stay curious or learn from every encounter would be my go-to advice.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you.
Next is from Jordan.
Okay, thanks for giving me the chance. My question is this: when you started at the A2SV, did you had any prior coding experience, or you were just a brand new in the coding space?
I was second year in university, which means I had about half a year experience with coding before I started A2SV. Would you like more detail, or is that plenty?
Yeah, I think it's okay. So you had a certain kind of experience before joining A2SV?
Yeah, just the basics of programming, basics of OOP, just fundamentals.
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
Abel.
Okay, thank you, Brooke, for taking the time to do this. So my question is, what was the most challenging experience you had in A2SV and also once you started working? And what advice would you give us to triumph those type of challenges?
That's a good question. I think there's obviously the stress of either working, like learning at A2SV or working in big tech companies, but I think the biggest hurdle for me was the imposter syndrome that comes with it. The fact that you feel like everyone knows more than you, everyone's more experienced, everyone's smarter, everyone is just generally better than you. That same at A2SV and also outside. I think what helped was seeing that like the people who are geniuses also have moments of doubt and moments that they're not perfect. I think for me Imre was going through learning how to approach sessions. So he was going through a problem and he was solving it for the first time. And we got to see how his thought process works. And that particular day, it was just an unlucky day and he had a very weird bug in his code and he was debugging it for an hour or so. And I think that kind of boosted, because I've seen myself do that. I've seen myself go on for 2 hours, 3 hours, and seeing someone like that time, like as smart as as experienced as Emery, also facing some of the same problems I'm facing. I realized, okay, this is something that everyone goes through, and it's okay to go through this. I think, and then the same with the work experiences too. You see that other people are also at some point in their lives that had gone through the same issues, and you're like, okay, I can make myself belong here. I don't feel that much of a stranger or an imposter anymore, personally.
Okay, Brooke, we have three more questions in the chat, and we also have some raised hands. So let me just read one question from the chat. What was your style of studying? That's from Elias Kibret.
I don't know if this is going to be helpful. My style of studying, especially when it comes to academic stuff, was I'd take one glance at either the curriculum, the syllabus, whatever like overall material they're providing. Then I'd go on my own tangent. So I have to learn about compilers, I say. So I just go ahead and Google the best resources for compilers, like the most intensive or like the most immersive or the most intuitive, and I'd pick the one I liked, and then I would go completely like into it. Like if there's any memorization thing that I was supposed to do for the course, I usually end up scoring bad for those courses. But when it comes to getting like a good sense, good grip on the things I'm supposed to learn, like as a software engineer, I think that was very helpful, where you learn how to teach yourself, and also you try to find the most immersive or the most useful ways to learn for yourself. So I just take a glance at the course outline or the syllabus, and I just go off on my own tangent and try to find the best resources and learn from those resources. That was my particular style of studying.
Next, let's get a question from Kibra.
Hello. My question is not specific only to Baruch. If possible, I would like my question to go to other A2SV's that are going to be sharing their experiences today. And my question is, what is the one mistake you made along your way that you strongly urge others to avoid?
I think it would be one of two things: either not asking enough questions, especially when you're confused. Like, I'll just bottle up that confusion. I'll just take it home, and then I'll try to read on my own and study on my own, and try to get an understanding. It's clumsy. Sometimes it works. Sometimes I take the wrong idea. But looking back now, there's so many other people who got that particular concept that I could have just easily learned from. So I think feeling ashamed without knowing and then not asking questions as a result of that would be something that I should definitely fix in the future. And I would have fixed had I turned back the clock.
A question from the chat. During your tenure as an intern with LinkedIn, how were you integrated into the engineering team? And what did you learn from that experience?
The LinkedIn experience in particular, I really, really loved it. The work that I did, it was focused on distributed systems. It was my first time working on distributed systems of any sort. It was an excellent team. I had a brilliant mentor he would set up meetings daily, since I was completely new to the ecosystem and the tech stack and the language, which was Scala at the time, and Apache Spark for those interested. It was something completely not within my prior expertise, but it was something I was interested in. So they onboarded me by taking me through basics courses, 101 and 201. And then I had daily syncs with my manager / mentor, so that I'd easily keep it updated. Whenever I'm going sidetracked, he could show me the right way, or whenever I'm confused by something, he'd sit me down and walk me through. And overall, it was a great experience because I got to see some of them in the office, some of my team, and I got to go have lunch and everything. I'd say it was a great experience within the team and within the interns as well. I felt extremely welcomed. It was a great experience where I met people from completely different cultures. I'd say the work was fulfilling, so that really helped. But the team and my mentor were exceptional in how they guided me, along with my manager's manager at the time. All of the people were extremely encouraging, and I think it kind of helped me get rid of my imposter syndrome. Like, these are the people I can learn from and be better in the future. So felt like less of a daunting journey after that internship. If that answers your question.
And Fiona?
Thank you. My question is, would you please describe your interviews with the companies you worked with? Were they challenging, tricky, or any other description? And the second question is, what was your most challenging interview or moment you had during your interviews and your internships, and how did you overcome the challenge?
To answer your first question, I think the interview experience was medium to maybe a bit difficult in one or two interviews, but I'd mostly categorize it as medium. I think you'd understand what the scale of medium is along your A2SV education. Dudes have stuff that are termed as lead code medium, lead code hard. If you describe it as lead code medium, that does not go out of the scope of what you learn at A2SV, which was a good surprise. I haven't had a question asked that required a data structure or an algorithm that we haven't learned before at A2SV, which is like a really cool thing to say about A2SV. But the interviews themselves were, in terms of difficulty, I'd say medium. In terms of a tough interview, I've had one interview where I was asked for an algorithm, a string matching algorithm called KMP, if you remember it. If you know it, otherwise you'll know ahead later in the future. But that algorithm at that moment, I had forgotten the implementation. I remember the algorithm and I walked him through the algorithm and he agreed that this would be a correct solution. And when it came to implementation, I forgot some key aspects. So I took some time to think about it. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to come up with any of them. So I told him, these are the concepts. This is the part I'm being stuck on. And so I can't proceed with implementing it this way. And the interviewer let me know, okay, like it's no problem. You can implement it some other way, maybe a bit less efficient way. And then you can get back to me. And then we implemented it in a less efficient way. He had asked a follow-up question. I had answered the follow-up question. And in the end, I passed that interview, which was a surprise for me. Yeah, that's what I'd say about that. And outside of that, I think in terms of an internship experience, since most of these internships are guided, whenever you face a challenge that is too hard, you can always turn to your mentor, your manager, and like face that challenge together. It's not something you should do alone the whole time. So while it might be tiring, it might be frustrating sometimes, it can be challenging sometimes, I never faced a problem that was too tough because I always have my manager, my mentor. Since it's meant to be a learning experience, I say, yeah, in terms of internship, it was not smooth sailing, but it wasn't any challenge that we could not overcome or that I was supposed to overcome alone. I hope that answers your question.
One question from the chat. What would you advise beginner developers that want to make a difference in the community, but who have the problem of comparing themselves with seniors like the one who had created libraries of programming languages and feeling hopeless or not having the potential?
I'm not sure if I'm the most qualified person to give advice on that, but from my own 2 cents, I'd say those people who've built the building blocks, they build the building blocks so that you can build on top of them. Like they're their own kind of smart, where they create these like frameworks and fundamentals that you can then use and solve real people's problems. I'd say don't compare yourself to that because they're working in a different problem. Their problem is helping you solve the real world problems out there. So you see people who are like in hackathons or like juniors that are coming up with really interesting solutions to interesting problems, like using machine learning, maybe like ChatGPT, and they don't know the exact internals of how it works. Even if it's Flutter or React or a simple web app, they don't really know how the JavaScript engine works. And those are okay. Like you're not supposed to know all of the abstractions. The people who created those frameworks, they don't know how like the transistors work or like how CPU is being designed at this moment. So it's okay to build on top of those abstractions and to make use of them wherever you can. Like wherever there's a problem near you, just go for it and you'd be surprised what you can achieve, especially with like so many of the building blocks already built for you. I'd say go for it and just try it out. Like they're working on a different problem and you can make the best use of their solution so far.
Now a question from John.
Hi, everyone. My name is John from Ghana. I want to ask a question. How long were your internships? And is it a norm to have 2 internships? Or is this something that you chose to do to get experience? I want to understand how that works.
That's a good question. I had 2 internships back to back, and it was a bit of a scheduling nightmare. But both of them were 3 months or 12 weeks. I think 12 weeks is more accurate. Both of them were 12 weeks. I tried to cram them into the same summer. Obviously, that's not how summers work. There's way fewer weeks than I'd like. So I had to make some compromises with school, talk to the people. I really wanted both experiences. They were in different continents. They were with different companies on different tech stacks. And I thought the experience would be really valuable. So I had to coordinate with my teachers after I came back and before I left. And I had to make it work in the end. I was happy that in the end, the staff was very supportive. But yeah, they both were around the summertime. So one started before summer and one ended after summer. But I tried to cram both though.
A question from the chat: how do you balance building resume projects and being competitive programmer?
I'd say that in the same way that you balance any 2 hobbies, like if you like swimming and playing table tennis, the same way you'd balance those 2. When it comes to building resume projects, I like to say that it'd be nice to build projects that you're passionate about or that you're excited to talk about, because I think that goes much further than having something fancy or something shiny, something that you're genuinely interested about, like a project that like speaks to your heart. For me, was something completely random. Doesn't have a huge functioning GUI. It was just this Java-based GUI, but I was very excited about it. And I think passion would help you like carve out more time for it in your day-to-day schedule. And for competitive programming, I hope that it's fun when you join it. And I think you'd see over time if it's something that you're interested in or not. But if it's something you're interested in, I definitely recommend also making some time out whenever there's contests, maybe twice a week at most, I think, in code courses. So that'd be great. But yeah, you'd balance them in the same way you'd balance hobbies. They're 2 separate hobbies as far as I.
Next, let's get a question from Zaid.
Yes, thank you very much, Baruch, for sharing your experience and your perspective. My question is about, out of everything that you have learned from A2SV, what is that thing that truly impacted your interview skills?
If I had to boil it down to one thing that directly impacted my interview skills, I'd say the mock interviews and the internal interviews, not in. That helped. Like it helped sharpen my communication skills by problem solving and explaining my problem solving. I'd say those mock interview sessions went a long way in A2SV. But obviously everything kind of adds up to that, to the interview sessions, but that one thing I think stood out.
Okay, thank you very much.
A question from the chat: since the majority here, this is from Monica, since the majority here are students, but actually I am a full stack software developer, how do you think this program might be? And how can I benefit from A2SV curriculum in my work as I am doing them in parallel?
That is a good question. How the data structures and algorithms course and would help on your job, I'm not entirely sure. Depends on your job, but for the general aspects of communication, problem solving, and gathering interviews, preparation skills that would help with any top tech company. I think if you have any aspirations for working outside in these top tech companies, most of them have a habit of asking these questions. So that would obviously go a long way.
question, did you limit yourself to the materials being taught at A2SV, or did you engage in additional work?
I can start with the A2SV schedule. Maybe can answer the second question. At the best, I've been at A2SV for maybe 2-3 years while I was a student, like helping and whatnot. I'd say this is like the best of the times. The schedule looked like I'd wake up at 5:30. I'd go out on a run, sometimes with friends at A2SV. We'd go out on a run. We'd come back around 6:30. And then we'd have some time to go around, run some tasks with A2SV. And we'd have A2SV tasks that run up during the camp at least, up to 1. And then we'd go for lunch and come back. And then we'd have A2SV tasks that run up to maybe till 5, 6. And then we'd go to the dorms. Most of us were A2SV members at the dorms. So we'd either just relax and talk about life, or we'd spend the time like coming up with lesson plans or devising things that we could do when either it's a contest that comes up. Maybe I think lead code was around, in our time, it was around 11:30 on Saturdays. I'm sorry, 5:30 on Saturdays. So we'd attend those. In terms of studying additional material, as a student and as an interviewee, I didn't have to do that much. After I had finished A2SV, I was interested, just curious, to learn other things within competitive programming for competitive programming's sake, not for interviewing. And for that, I had gone off on my own and read a few things, mostly math related. And I think for my current schedule now, it's a bit lazy. If there's any task that is related to A2SV education that I'm interested in, I chime in, I try to help. But outside of that, I usually have all the time to myself because I have 1 month until the Databricks job starts. So I'm trying to use that time to rest and enjoy the time. Sorry for the long-winded answer, but that's kind of maybe answering both questions at the same time.
Yes, so next question is, how many interviews have you had in the past?
Okay, I was expecting in the past. Okay, so I'd say in terms of interviews, I've only had the 3, so Google, LinkedIn, and then Databricks. Unfortunately, at least over the past few months, before getting the Databricks job back in 2023, it was a bit of a challenge in the tech industry. There was not a lot of people hiring, and then much fewer people hiring from abroad, and much, much fewer from Ethiopia as a full-time, like not remote, but like in person with visa sponsorship. So that was tough. But outside of that, I think Google, LinkedIn, and Databricks. So 3 interviews, 3 companies so far. I've been lucky with the winning streak.
There's also another question that's basically asking, why do you think what do you think differentiated the fellow cohorts or the ones that came after you? What differentiated the cohorts that came after you that didn't get up getting a similar position as you did, mean placements and got offers? And what are some of the problems you saw in the people around making throughout your study and even working in the companies? I think the question is asking why, like the next cohorts after G12, why didn't the students get opportunities as G12 cohort did, and what are some of the problems you saw people around making throughout your study? I think it's mistakes that you noticed in people, maybe.
I think I can answer it first by saying that when it came to the quality of the education and especially the dedication of the students, I've only seen that go up from cohort to cohort. So group 3 was more dedicated, in my experience at least, more dedicated, like more problem solved, more like intense than group 2, and then group 4, then group 3, and then group 5, then group 4. Like it kept the dedication, the amount of problem solved, like the immersion grew from cohort to cohort. I think we had a bit of bad luck, and I think this is something personal, but I remember advocating for applying closer and closer, like so that we don't have to wait until the end of the applications to start applying. So we usually don't get, after we pass the interviews, we don't get placements because most of the projects were already taken because we applied late. And that was something I was trying to push for during my time there. But outside of that, I don't imagine that there's anything systemic wrong with like how education is going on, at least in the sense of saying that the heads have the best intentions of the students at heart, and they usually get to implement the measures or the education strategies that work best for the students. But yeah, a combination of bad luck and applying late, and unfortunately over the past year, the tech recession that unfortunately led to having less jobs out on the market. And maybe potentially we've had like slightly fewer, less opportunities as a result of that. I think hopefully we're expanding our reach by reaching out to different companies so they can interview A2SV's, so we can make up for that lost positions and the number of companies that get in partner with us.
All right.
Impressed by like the dedication that comes from class to class. That's about it.
Okay. I think that was the last of the 6 questions I mentioned earlier. So we're going to end the Q&A here because of time. And I'd like to thank you again, Brooke, for taking the time to come and share your experience with us. So big thanks.
No worries. Pleasure for doing that. Thank you for having me on.
Okay. So guys, we've had the experience sharing now. The next section is going to be a brief introduction to your heads of education. So as I move the slides, you're going to be seeing the heads of education for the 6 groups. We have 6 groups from 5A to 5F. Those are the remote groups that we have. And the heads are just going to introduce themselves and yeah. So we're going to start off with 5A heads. Up.
Hi, I'm Kala.
That's a very short introduction. Okay, Galata.
Should I say more or?
It's okay. I'm just saying.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. And if you're in a convenient place, turning on your camera as well.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
My name is Galata, and I was a former A2SV Group 4 student, and I am currently an A2SV Head of Remote Education for Group 5. And sorry? And I would also like to tell everyone that just as a tip and a message that the main key to becoming a good problem solver requires you to acquire a little bit of new knowledge every single day. It's not about like attaining tons of knowledge in a single day and not solving or not gaining any more knowledge, but just a little bit of knowledge every day. It's going to be the key to actually becoming a good problem solver in data structures and algorithm. And at A2S, what you will gain is not just a problem solving skill, but get the skills for when it comes to communication skills and also different. So I really, really would like to push you to your attention to A2SV. Thank you.
Thank you, Galata. Ananya, let's go to you next.
Hi, my name is A2SV's. I'm a fourth-year software engineering student at AIT and head of education intern at G5A, and I'm really excited to meet you all, especially the ones at Group 5A.
heads, let's continue with the introduction.
Okay, hey guys, my name is Barakat Tabahon. I will be your head of education for G5B students. I can't say much, but I believe we will have so much fun throughout the education phase. So that's it.
Okay, here, hello everyone. I'm Zhao, the head of remote education at A2SV for G5P, and I'm thrilled to have each and every one of you joining us today. I'm excited about the journey that we are about to embark on together. So let's support each other and learn from each other and grow together. And most importantly, let's never forget the power that lies within each of us to make a difference. And I can't wait to see the incredible thing we will accomplish together. So thank you very much.
Simon?
Okay, thank you. So my name is Simon Gabrahewet. I am G5P, Head of Education Intern. I used to be a remote student as well. Last year, we were part of the first remote education squad. Like, we were the students, and we have the senior heads with us now. And it was a very interesting journey for me. Now we are going to embark on different journey for me as a head now. So yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. Can't wait to start the sessions.
All right. Hello, guys. I'm Tesfai, head of education for G5C. I've been a head of education for the last 1 year for the G4 remote education. I hope this season is going to be better and we're going to enjoy it. Thank you.
All right, guys. Hello. My name is Nahom, and I joined A2SV in December 21. I was one of the members of Group 31. And after I finished the in-person education, I moved to a different country and I became one of the remote students. And I also finished that. And now I am one of the head of educations for Group 5C. And I hope we'll have a great time together in the future.
Hello everyone, I'm Kananisa. I will be head of education intern for Group 5C. I was a Group 4 remote education student along with Simon, and I'm excited to see you all. Thank you.
Okay, hello guys. I'm Yaritz Agay. I'm fifth year software engineering student at Addis Ababa University, and I'm also A2SV G3 member, Group 3 member. And I've also been head of education for the last 1 year, and this year I'm accepting 5D class along with Johannes and Barakat, and I can't wait to meet all of you guys on our separate sessions and have best year that I can have. So thank you.
Hey guys, my name is Jan Smaba. I am an electrical engineering student at AIT. So also I am head of education. So I can't wait to join you. I think I will lead you for the entire year. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Barakat Lakasa. I was a Group 4 in-person student at A2SV, and I'm currently studying the field of software engineering here in AIT. And I want to say congrats for all of you for making it to A2SV's remote education.
Binyam.
Hello, everyone. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Binyam, and I was part of Group 31, and I've been head of remote education since January 2023, which means last year. And I oversee one of the grad classes, which is G5E, and I'm pleased to meet you, all of you, and thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Firal Ibrahim, and I was the part of the G4, the part of G4 A2SV in-person education, G44 particularly, and currently I'll be G5 remote education for G5E, and yeah, thanks. Congratulations for everyone, and I hope we'll have the best of times together to grow and learn from each other. So yeah, bye. You can continue.
Bahalu. I think he might be having internet issues, so let's continue with G5F heads.
All right, so my name is Murad Abdullah. I joined A2SV at December 2021. Okay, I think we'll have a good year this year and have fun and explore more. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brooke Russell, and I am a member of Cohort 3 of A2SV or Generation 3. And now I'll be your head for G5F students, particularly. So I'd like to say congratulations again for making it to this end, and I hope we will finish strong. Thank you.
And Fikamara?
So, hello everyone. This is Fikamara again. So, I was an in-person student in Generation 4. I was with Galata, Ro, and Ananya. So, I believe we'll have a good time, especially G5 students with me, Rada and Puktaso. Congratulations.
All right, thank you guys for introducing yourself. These are going to be your heads of education for the rest of the season. And now, at the end, we are going to receive our conclusive remarks from Mr. Alper Gusser. So, Mr. Alper, you can take it away.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Okay, great. First of all, congratulations. I am now confronting almost 150 people from 28 different countries that are aimed to change not their own lives, but the change of a fate of a continent. So you are here to change everything. Just believe in yourselves and start working. Why? Because you are the future of Africa. Could you please go to the first slide? You are going to change Africa, but you are not alone. We are all in the same ship. We are, as the seniors, as the mentors, as me, head of communication, you will hear from me from time to time that I'm going to give some advices for you. And frankly speaking, this is the first time I'm so excited to talk such a decent group of people who are really determined, not only their lives, but the fate of Africa once again. So basically, you are lions and lionesses of Africa. You are going to code, you are going to learn, you are going to have soft skills, improve yourselves in every way, with an A2SVN teaching you the way he was taught before. So basically, you are going to be the future leaders. Not necessarily all of you are going to go to the big tech companies like Google, Bloomberg, Amazon, or whatever, but instead you are going to stay in your own country and address the problems that your country has. So basically, you are going to be changing, starting from you, your country, the continent, and the world. So basically, don't forget that we are all family and we are on the same ship. Because we know as A2SVNs how to solve problems, how to work hard, how to act as a team player, how to plan. So basically, you may make mistakes. Please change the slide. Okay. I would encourage you to make mistakes because this is the training ground. You are going to get the real fight when you are graduated from the A2SV. So don't be afraid of making mistakes, but never and ever don't fail 2 days in a row. We are human and we make mistakes. We are very well aware of it. But it's always in our, let's say, mutual feeling that we can do better every next day. So at A2SV, we want you to be a better version of yourselves. Don't be afraid again about making mistakes because we are human. From time to time, I'm going to talk about planning. I'm going to talk about team being a team. I'm going to talk about some, let's say, philosophical words. But at the end of the day, what you are doing right here is getting a very good education. And a good education is not only about coding. It's also about the soft skills. It's also about talking to people. It's also about communications. And especially as your aim is to be global, I strongly advise you to think global and learn how to speak English really well. Why? Because when the time comes, after the graduation, you will most probably use your English to prove yourself you are a worthy candidate for the big tech companies or some other companies that you are going to work for. So A2SV is not only a beacon of technology, but it's also a beacon of communication and self-improvement. One important thing I would like to note for here is from Rumi, which I closely follow, an ancient philosopher you may already know. He once said, when setting out on a journey, do not seek advice from those who never left their homes.
It's the WhatsApp group. Both of them are kind of a super group. So for the Telegram, there is a super group that says A2SV remote education, and underneath there are different groups. You guys are going. We are going to be giving you like a detailed kind of a lecture tomorrow on this, on how you're going to use the groups, but the different groups that are mentioned inside the Telegram or the WhatsApp group is we have groups for each of the different groups, 5-8 We have announcement groups where we post our announcements. We have I think discussion groups where everyone can talk about things from different groups, and in each of the specific groups you can also communicate. things related to your specific group. We also have quote of the day groups, if I'm mistaken. We're going to be sending a quote for every day in that group. But you're going to be getting detailed instructions on how to use them tomorrow, Yusuf. Next, can we adjust the meeting time slightly for our group, because it's not a bit challenging with the time differences. Gada, for your specific group, you're going to be deciding that with your heads of education, if there is need to adjust the time that we're going to have the sessions, then that is something you need to discuss with your heads of education, and you can do that starting tomorrow or the day after. And Ms. Ghana, speaking of the opportunities to big tech, do we go through the same screening process as other or outside A2SV applicants do? So regarding this question, in A2SV, we're going to provide you with opportunities. As Emre mentioned, I think we have partner companies. So students, like other people outside of A2SV, when applying, they wouldn't get to the interview stage because, if I'm not mistaken, the acceptance rate for Google is 0.2 or something like that. So that means a lot of people apply, and people that get to the interview stage, their number is less, like even get to the interview stage. But with A2SV, you are going to be given the interview, like you get the interview, because we partners, partner companies, you are guaranteed to get an interview. Right after that, it depends on your effort. I think Emre mentioned this at the beginning. And because we're going to be giving you trainings on how to pass the interviews, going to be preparing you for that for almost a whole year. If after getting the interviews, then if you put in some effort, then you're surely guaranteed to pass those interviews. And what reason you divided grads and undergrads in different groups? So the reason for dividing grads and undergrads is because grads have a bit more in common and undergrads have a bit more in common. So undergrads, I think I'm sure you guys have like final exams and final projects, things like that. And the grads, they have other things. So in order to prioritize and to make the groups, like if we need to make, we decided it would be better for us to classify it as grads and undergrads. It's because grad people have more in common with each other than grads and undergrads. But dividing it as grads and undergrads does not mean you guys wouldn't communicate each other. We're going to be having merge sessions, and you'll get the chance to know each other, most of you. The link to the agenda is not working for INSAF. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I'd advise you to contact one of your heads of education. Oh, okay. So the calendar link that was sent to you is not working for your group. So Yusuf as well. Which group are you? Yusuf?
Sorry, I didn't know what I say. Can you please recap?
Yeah, what group are you?
5C.
Okay, so 5 sets. That's fine. The calendar. We're going to end today's kick. We're not going to end it. There's something